Hello, and welcome to the Scooby Zone, the podcast where monsters send us screaming as we watch an episode of Scooby-Doo media. I'm Rob.
And I'm Katie.
And today we'll be watching What a Night for a Night. It is episode 1 of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Being the first episode, let's talk a little bit about the history of Scooby itself, our history and experience with the franchise, and just why it is that Scooby is so great.
He is.
Scooby-Doo debuted September 13th, 1969, created by Joe Ruby and Ken Spears for the Hanna-Barbera production to offer a non-violent, mystery-focused Saturday morning entertainment experience that was heavily influenced by 1960s youth culture and the sitcom The Many Loves of Dobby Gillis. And again, it's been around since 1969, and here we are recording this in 2026. So almost 60 years of Scooby. And
almost 60. We're getting there.
That's got to be what? 420 in dog years?
Gotta be something like that, yeah.
Man. But anyways, going on to our experiences with Scooby, it's like, he's always been around.
Yes, he's always been around. There was never not a time when there wasn't anything Scooby-Doo. We always had him around.
Yeah, being in our 30s, almost half the age of Scooby, it's so hard for us to imagine what it was be like without Scooby. And I think that is one part of where a lot of our love comes from. It was on. Yes. It was something our parents and other family members were able to grow up with, in which they would be able to introduce us and help foster and cultivate this admiration of this cowardly talking Great Dane. And, Scooby, throughout the years, he's inspired so many spin-offs. Well, not necessarily spin-offs, but offshoots from the same production company.
Yep.
Where it's following all the same formula. We're Jabberjaw is often cited as being one. Speed Buggy. Those classic type of cartoons where it's, group of teenagers.
Yeah.
Plus talking thing that doesn't normally talk. Solving mysteries or getting involved with something to stop criminals. And really, Scooby is the one that keeps making new content.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yep.
It's been a while since we've seen something new officially from Warner Brothers about Scooby, but there's been talks of Netflix working on a live-action adaptation, or some talk about a anime-styled Scooby-Doo show.
Yeah.
Don't quite know 100% how accurate a lot of that information is. I'm going to be honest, I'm not following it all very closely. I'll be happy to see more Scooby content, but
me too.
I don't want to ruin my initial going into it by diving deep into a lot of the production stuff now. I like finding out a lot of production history on stuff.
Yeah, it's
but a lot of the times I will dive more into that after a thing has been released, before diving in while it's being worked on. as to not spoil some of the experience for me. But I think Scooby has stood the better part of 60 years almost
I believe so too.
by,
Adapting.
yeah, adapting, constantly restructuring itself, avoiding the oversaturation of its, genre.
Yep.
Because a lot of those cookie cutter formula shows often fall into a habit where the first time we get a show, in that format, it does well. And then we get another one and, it still does well. But like, okay, it's starting to feel a bit of, familiar. But then when you get like another, like a third, a fourth, a fifth, it's like each one, it starts to feel more like a drag. Because it's all the same. But with Scooby, we had the 25 episodes of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yes.
Then we got the new Scooby movies, which doubled the episode length, added in a famous guest star, whether it be a famous person like Jerry Reed or Don Knotts, Sandy Duncan, Sonny and Cher,
Yep.
to famous popular fictional characters like Batman and Robin, Speed Buggy, Josie and the Pussycats,
Globetrotters.
Globetrotters.
I was going to say that one.
Yeah. For clarification, yes, we do know the Globetrotters are an actual basketball team. Mm-hmm. We will have to fact check this. We did not dive into looking this up before recording. So if any of you want to look it up and confirm this for us, great.
Yes.
I'm sure we will probably do this as well, and we will get back to you on when we find out. Personally, I think that there may have been a Globetrotter Hanna-Barbera cartoon going on at the time that I don't think had any actual involvement from the Globetrotter basketball team with it. So that is why Globetrotters is kind of there on that side of the list. Much like how, the Batman and Robin that show up are heavily inspired from the Hanna-Barbera Super Friends cartoon. Hanna-Barbera did an Addams Family cartoon. I think they did an actual full I Dream of Jeannie cartoon. Obviously, they did Speed Buggy, Josie and the Pussycats. Like, Hanna-Barbera were big with the animation in this era.
Yeah, they were pretty good with that.
So, a lot of those fictional adaptations of those characters are heavily inspired by what Hanna-Barbera was already doing with them, which obviously made it easier to bring them to Scooby.
Yep. Yes.
And so after the new Scooby movies, we kind of went back to basics with the Scooby-Doo show. From there, we switched it up. We added Scrappy-Doo in, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, in which they further switched it up by they cut half the group. They cut episodes into different short segments of just Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy getting into whatever hijinks. After a bit of time of that, they brought Daphne back and slowly integrated a couple of the more traditional mysteries in, but still kept the segments. Then we get the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which was, Scooby's real dive into, like, real supernatural elements. There were some in, like, the segments of stuff, but, like, this was in more serialized format. Whereas previously it was all non-connected.
Yep.
After that, they shift gears again. They bring Daphne and Fred back, ditch Scrappy, age them down to kids.
Oh, yes.
Setting the show in almost like a 50s era type
Yeah, it
setting,
almost seemed like it
which
was.
felt fitting considering,
Yep.
Scooby's was late 60s.
Yep.
And, you've got a pup named Scooby-Doo, that gains all kids and, it was very fun and enjoyable, like
was.
over the top with the animation, like very
Yeah.
fourth wall breaking.
Yes.
Then after that, like we're on a hiatus for a couple of years.
Yes.
They reinvent things, with some direct-to-video movies with real monsters and almost giving it like I don't want to say a mature tone for the older audience, but like
Yep.
it had that like you could tell it was made more in mind like as a love letter to the older fans,
Yep.
but also still somewhat tame enough for some of the younger viewers.
Yep.
And then we get a live action adaptation, then we get What's New Scooby-Doo, which is honestly, in my opinion, just Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? But in
For
a
newer
modern,
era. Yep.
a more modern
Modern
time,
age. Yeah.
being the early 2000s. And, after that, then we again ditch Velma, Fred, Daphne, just focusing on Shaggy and Scooby and just whatever hijinks they decide to get into. I haven't watched a lot of I've seen like maybe an episode or two with my kids having it on. I don't know 100% know what's going on. So it'll be interesting when we get there. So I'm not going to fill you guys with some false information there
Right.
of what's going on. But then after that, we get Mystery Incorporated, which, again, straightforward mysteries, but also adds in a serialized, overarching mystery that goes through the entire show. Then we've got the Cool Scooby-Doo, in which it's pretty much the same regular Scooby-Doo formula, just worse off animation style, in my opinion. But Daphne's doing weird gimmicks all the time.
Yeah,
Sometimes it almost feels like it's a soft reboot of Scooby-Doo, but not quite there. It's interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
And then from there we go back to Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, where we're now back to having
A
guest
star.
appearances from more modern day recognizable figures such as Bill Nye the Science Guy and Flash and Wonder Woman, expanding on Scooby's strange connection to the DC universe.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
We just won't talk about Velma right now.
We will not be talking about that.
We'll see how we feel closer to getting to that. But
Yes,
right
I
now,
agree.
let's not talk about it.
Nope. No talking about it.
So, I think from there, like to point out that we do have an email address that you guys can email us with questions you might have, whatever interesting Scooby facts or whatever facts really you want to tell us about. Our email address is scoobyzonepodcast@gmail.com. So from there, let's split up gang, go watch the episodes. All episodes of Scooby-Doo Where Are You are available on DVD and Blu-ray. So we're going to go watch the episode, look for some clues, and we'll be right back. And we're back. That was What a Night for Night, and what a night it was.
Definitely was an interesting night. Let's just leave it at that.
So, we'll go ahead and we'll start from the beginning and recap the episode.
Yep, do that.
For all of those who did not watch along. But honestly, you really should if you can, because
Yep, definitely should.
this is just one great cartoon.
It is a very good cartoon, one of the best.
So, first, cannot get over just how great the title card is for this episode, and also for the next episode.
Right.
Being the first two, I believe, in production, the title cards look like what you'd find on like either a comic book or on like a children's book.
Right.
That for this one in particular, you just have a still of the Black Knight ghost in the crate with Shaggy and Scooby like peering off from the side of it up at the Black Knight ghost. Yep. After next week's episode, with the ghost of Captain Cutler, that then just goes to a generic kind of background with an animation loop of Mystery Inc. running. Yep. Which isn't necessarily bad.
No, it's not.
But it's not as exciting to look at as all of these. These two, where it's unique and different, really showcasing the monster of the week.
Right. They should have kept... I feel like they should have kept doing that, because that was a cool thing. Like, hey, this is what it actually looks like without even like seeing a trailer or anything of it. You'd know what it looks like just by seeing the title card. And I wish they would have kept doing that, because then that would have been cool. Oh, this is what the monster looks like for the week. That would have been kind of cool for the fans.
And before we get into the actual episode, like the voice cast, this was an amazing voice cast for this show.
Yes.
We've got the great Don Messick, the original voice of Scooby-Doo. Yep. Who's sadly no longer with us.
No, sadly not.
The amazingly talented Casey Kasem.
Oh, yes.
Who, again...
He's very, very, very talented.
In my opinion, the definitive voice of Shaggy.
Yes. Most definitely.
It's not the same without him around either.
No, it's not.
Props to Matthew Lillard for taking over for him when he did. But you cannot... That's like... I see anything with Shaggy, like in a comic book or whatnot, like it's Kasem's voice that I hear.
It's Kasem's voice, yep.
Two talented voice actors for this show that I don't think will truly ever be topped.
I don't think so either.
Rounding out the rest of the gang, we've got Nicole Jaffe as Velma, Stefana Christopherson as Daphne, and Frank Welker as, in this episode, some unnamed blonde guy.
Unnamed blonde guy.
Because
he doesn't even get a name.
Never once do they actually give Fred's name in this episode.
That is true. We don't know his name for the first episode.
But Frank Welker, he's voiced Fred in practically everything.
Everything, almost.
I think the only things he doesn't are a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
Just because of the
age difference.
Age of the gang. Although we do still have Casey Kasem doing Shaggy for that.
Well, it's Casey Kasem. He's just...
But then, obviously, the live-action theatrical films and the live-action Cartoon Network films. But then it's really just the theatrical movie Scoob.
Yeah.
And I believe Velma. That he doesn't.
That probably makes sense.
Everything else, I'm pretty sure he has done the voice of Fred in.
Yeah, he's been in it for a long time. Since the beginning, practically, he's been in it.
And it makes you wonder who's done more episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Welker or Casey Kasem?
That is true.
And the reason why it's interesting to think about is there's a stretch in the entire 1980s pretty much where you have Shaggy around.
Right.
But you only have Fred and only a handful of guest appearances.
Yep.
Because shortly after Scrappy comes into the picture, everyone kind of disappears except Shaggy.
Except Shaggy.
And then Daphne comes back.
Right. Yep.
So that'll be interesting to look up.
It would be.
But anyways, going back to the episode.
Yep.
We start with the image of a pickup truck driving, carrying a crate that says to be delivered to Professor Hyde White. When the crate opens up and out comes a suit of armor, and we cut to black shortly after we see the Black Knight sitting up from seeing him in the back window of the pickup truck. Yeah. Makes you wonder, how did the driver not notice that in the rear view mirror?
That is a very good question. I would not.
Is he not checking his mirrors? Like, that's kind of a safety hazard.
Yeah, that is a safety hazard. Oh.
How did he get his license?
How did he get his license? Yeah.
Especially when we later find out that the driver of the truck is Professor Hyde White, who's from England.
Yep.
You know, clearly he knows he's to be driving on the correct side of the road here.
Clearly, yep.
Even though we don't actually have a name for where we are.
Right.
But moving forward, screen cuts to black. We then cut to Shaggy and Scooby are walking home from the movies.
Yep.
Because Scooby had to see the movie Star, Dog Ranger of the North Woods twice.
Yep.
When they hear a noise, Shaggy has Scooby look in the bush for the noise, and we get the first feud with an animal with Scooby where he kind of picks a fight with a frog.
With a frog.
You know, he puts his head in the bush, he pulls it out, and there's a frog sitting on his nose. It just jumps off like it does, and Scooby just chases after it.
And barking. He was barking
at it, in which he then runs into the truck that's just sitting there, where they find the Black Knight armor sitting in the driver's seat when the head just rolls off.
Rolls off somehow.
You know?
Yep.
I guess that's one way to lose your head.
I guess it is, isn't it?
They get in touch with the rest of the gang. Daphne, Velma, unnamed blonde guy.
We just found him in the show. You look good for the picture.
Okay, we'll stop with that. We'll call him by his name, Fred, even though they don't in the episode.
They don't, but we'll give him grace and give him his name back.
Yeah. You know, Shaggy's explaining that they found this suit of armor driving the truck. You know, maybe he went out for the night. And they read on the crate to be delivered to Professor Hyde White.
Yep.
And there's another shipping slip on the ground on which it says that they are to take the crate to the museum.
Yep.
That's where Professor Hyde White was going to take it to.
Yep.
So they take it the rest of the way, and when they get there, the museum curator thanks them, but wishes that they hadn't, and tells them the story of how when the full moon casts its glow on the suit of armor, the Black Knight comes to life.
Wow.
As the curator is telling them this, Scooby wanders off like he does, finds a pair of funny-looking glasses on a Chinese lion statue, and just takes them.
Just walks off with them. Nothing, whatever.
Just a little bit of petty theft, from a dog. Nothing too major.
No, definitely not.
The gang leaves and calls Scooby, and so he's in the back of the van with the glasses, and Velma complains how the mystery has her baffled. And Shaggy's like, well, it's got me hungry.
When do we eat?
Scooby pops up and they notice the glasses, and instead of going to get food, they go to the library to look up the glasses in what I assume is an encyclopedia.
I would assume.
In which they find that those glasses are mostly used for jewelry inspecting, because it's a special type of magnifying glass.
Right.
But it's also used by archaeologists, and they are primarily used in England. In which they put 2 and 2 together and figure that they probably belong to Professor Hyde White. They go back to the museum in the middle of the night, and after trying to open the back door, in which, Fred remarks that it's locked up tighter than a drum, which, drummers know that drums are usually locked pretty tight.
Yeah.
They decide to try to go in through an open window. They get the ladder out of the mystery machine.
Yep.
It's not tall enough.
Nope.
They break some OSHA requirements in which they put the ladder on the vehicle jack, which does not look like it's very sturdy or safe.
It does not.
They jack it up while Shaggy's on the ladder.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
Which, again, is not safe.
Your safety concerns.
It's still too short.
Yep.
Daphne remarks, it's okay. Shaggy is the swingingest gymnast in school.
Yep.
And so then Shaggy expertly commits some breaking and entering. He enters in the window, and he breaks a ton of stuff on his way down.
He does.
If that's not expertise in breaking and entering, I don't know what is.
He's the expert, remember? Oh, man.
So yes, after the comically loud crashing sounds of Shaggy just running into stuff, which, to be clear, the height of the window that he's in, it would be a couple of floors for him to walk down to open to that precise door.
Right.
Without a map, how Shaggy get into that door in a timely manner?
I have no idea. It's Scooby logic. It doesn't have to make sense, all right?
He lets the rest of the gang in, and they proceed to split up. Fred and Daphne go one way, and we don't see him again for a while.
I thought it was the unnamed blonde.
No, we gave him his name back.
Okay.
And Velma and Shaggy go another way with Scooby standing guard. Scooby doesn't want to stand guard, so they offer him a Scooby snack. Mm-hmm. And Scooby already expertly bribes himself into 2 Scooby snacks.
Well, why wouldn't he? You got to do it.
I thought for sure it would be a while before we see Scooby starting to haggle for Scooby snacks.
Nope.
No, right away. Right off the bat. Episode 1, guys.
Nope. Well, he doesn't want to stand guard. He's like, I gotta have more than one to make it worth my while here. Come on now.
Right? After a while of Scooby standing guard, he gets frightened, like he does.
Yep.
Bolts after Velma and Shaggy, in which, he tackles Shaggy.
Obviously.
And, Shaggy's like, okay, Scoob, you can come with us.
Yep.
As they're walking, Velma and Scooby stop and poke their head into a doorway, and Shaggy just walks right past them.
How does that
and then Velma exclaims that they lost Shaggy. I'm like, no, Velma.
No,
you guys stopped right in front of Shaggy. Yeah. He kept walking.
Shaggy lost you guys.
How Shaggy didn't notice you guys stopping is ridiculous, because you didn't walk through, you're not that far ahead that you walked through the door. You stopped at the door.
And then he just kept going. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
So we're following Velma and Scooby. Scooby being scared. He's got his teeth chattering.
Yep.
Velma takes a scarf, ties his mouth shut. Which, considering you've got a talking dog.
Yep.
How else is the dog supposed to get your attention? Because when When he notices the Black Knight Ghost behind them and tries to get Velma's attention by tapping her, she tells him, "Not now, Scooby."
Not now, Scooby. Not now.
So Scooby then runs off, knocking into Velma, and she loses her glasses.
Yep, she loses them.
So,
darn.
Guys, take a drink for the first time Velma has lost her glasses.
Take a drink, guys.
It's a good thing we're not doing this in like rapid succession of episodes, because drinking every time Velma loses her glasses,
we would be drunk.
We'd either be drunk or we'd have liver poisoning.
We'd be drunk. We'd be wasted on
It would be
chaotic, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Just a little bit.
Anyways, as Velma's on her hands and knees looking for her glasses, the Black Knight trips over her and lands into some old-fashioned stockades. Mm-hmm. Velma thinks it's Shaggy and that his bad cold has come back. And is like, "Lucky I brought your cough medicine."
Why would you even have his cough medicine on you?
There actually is an explanation for that.
There actually is?
Yes,
okay.
there is.
All right, let's hear the explanation.
In the original production notes for Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Mm-hmm. Originally, the characters that eventually became Velma and Shaggy were supposed to be siblings.
Okay.
That's why in certain episodes, Shaggy's the one who has Velma's spare glasses.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that would make
sense.
And
this being the first episode of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You specifically, I think some of those old production notes were still in effect.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like he would have her glasses and she would have his cough medicine as like a sibling thing. Okay.
Because again,
I see what you mean.
Fred is not given a name in this episode. That they may have still been using his pre-production name of, I believe it was Ronnie?
Ronnie, okay.
Something like that. I'd have to look that one up again.
Okay.
But anyways, she pulls out the cough medicine to give to the Black Knight Ghost, thinking it's Shaggy.
Yep.
We then cut to Shaggy running. He's worried, like, I can't find that Velma nowheres.
Well,
In which, he gets to where Velma and the Black Knight Ghost are. Velma has her glasses back and gives the cough medicine to Shaggy.
Yep.
In which they then run, Shaggy grabs Velma and they run off. She has her glasses back and doesn't notice the Black Knight Ghost, like, to her left.
Whoops.
Like, was that a blind spot, Velma?
It might be a blind spot if she's not looking in the direction it is. And, with her glasses specifically looking in that direction, that might be a problem.
Yeah. We then get a short little bit of Scooby on his own, going into where the dinosaur bones are, all the dinosaur skeletons.
Yep.
And him being the happy-go-lucky dog he is, gets excited at the dinosaur bones.
Yep.
Grabs one of the T-Rex's femurs, which brings the whole skeleton down. And then the tail cuts into a curtain that reveals the Black Knight Ghost.
And he starts yelling and wailing at Scooby.
Yeah. So Scooby's scared. He puts the skeletons back together and runs off. Which, in on its own, really is almost an unnecessary scene.
Yeah.
But is necessary for the next bit, in which we see everyone from Mystery Inc. together, except for Scooby.
Yep.
When Scooby comes in from off screen, tackles Shaggy.
Of course. Who else would he tackle?
In which Shaggy then notices that there's a painting missing from the wall. Mm-hmm. So they go back to get the rest of the game, and it's back. In which then Daphne notices a pool of what she thinks is blood on the ground.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be paint. You'd think paint would leave a smell.
Right, you would think.
And also with the amount of, in air quotes, blood, that would have been, there'd be a blood smell.
Right.
Because usually there's a smell when there's a lot of blood.
Right. And when there's a lot of paint, too. You definitely know the smell of paint.
Yeah, as a person who works in a, shop that does a lot of painting, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So they then notice that there's actually a trail of it.
Yep.
So they follow it to a sarcophagus, in which they open it to find a hidden back room, which is, inside full of a lot of different paints and paintings. One is even half finished. So they decide it's time to go alert the sheriff. Daphne exclaims, like, hey, we'll take this back way out. And behind door number 1, the ghost.
The knight is there. Yep, the Black Knight shows up. He's very angry.
Why didn't they just go through the door they already had open?
That is true. That door was right there, though.
There's no guarantee that back way out was out of the building.
There isn't, but yeah, apparently we have to try.
It's like, hey, we just walked from this door that we came in from to back here. Like, hey, why don't we just retrace our steps? Like, we know which way we're going.
Not. But we don't think like that.
So, some hijinks ensue from trying to run away from the ghost. Shaggy hides behind a painting that the Black Knight ghost punches a hole into.
Yep.
And now the real question is, was that a counterfeit painting?
Or was it
an actual painting that the ghost has destroyed?
Yep.
Either way, probably doesn't bode well for whatever his plans were.
No, it probably doesn't. He's probably kicking himself for destroying the painting.
Scooby comes in dressed as an artist.
Yep.
Squirts some paint onto a canvas. Squirts some paint onto the ghost. And they run off.
Man. Yep.
It's going to be a lot more fun when we get into a lot of the more crazy disguises that run running from the ghosts.
Yep. All the shenanigans they get into, all the stuff they do with the ghost when the ghost doesn't even notice it's them. It's really close.
They run to different parts of the museum, in which, after just some ridiculous chase scenes involving them hiding under a bearskin rug and moving away, in which the ghost pulls it out. And they hide under a table. Yep. Ghost picks up the table and they're holding on to the bottom. And then throws them into a wall.
Oh, that's kind of hurt. I mean,
the amount of strength it takes to embed the table into the wall like that.
Well, it's a suit of armor. You gotta have some strength somewhere.
Fred and the girls hide in a tank, which cannot be comfortable because tanks are pretty small and cramped.
Yep.
Shaggy and Scooby hide in a biplane. In which Shaggy uses his expert ventriloquist abilities to make it sound like he's hiding in a pot.
Outside of the room.
Scooby, being the happy dog he is, his wagging tail flips on the switch of the biplane they're in.
Yep.
Which now raises the question, why is there fuel in a museum display?
What? I know, it doesn't make any sense.
So with the plane on, it starts going. It's now running after the ghost. It has its wings torn off going through a door. Yet still has enough wings that it gets some vertical lift going because they do an aerial somersault before basically crashing into the ghost. They get out and they unmask the ghost to find it's the museum curator.
Yep.
We then cut to black, come back to them talking with the sheriff.
Yep.
In which, the curator's plan was, at night, would take a painting, make a counterfeit of it, and then either sell the counterfeit or sell the original. I think he's selling the original with the counterfeits in the museum.
Display, that would make more sense.
But wouldn't it make sense if the counterfeits are good enough to fool the art critics at the museum?
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't you just sell the forgeries?
True.
I
don't know.
But
it's logic.
But they also never explained the height difference.
No.
Because when when we first see the museum curator standing next to the armor when they deliver it, he's about half of its height.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And yeah, they don't explain the height difference.
No, they don't. It's like, how could he fit in that when he's that short?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. And, you know, they talk about how really it would have been Professor Hyde White with his special magnifying glasses that would have been able to spot the differences, which is why the Black Knight Ghost made him disappear.
Right.
Daphne then realizes we never found the professor.
Yep.
When we see Scooby-Doo with a shoe.
Yep.
They follow Scooby to where he got the shoe, to a Native American effigy statue.
Yep.
In which it's revealed, like, nope, that was just Professor Hyde White tied up and gagged, dressed up like that.
Yep.
And then, you know, talking about Professor Hyde White, he explains how Wickles was in the armor at the train station, waiting for Professor Hyde White to pick up the armor, in which he then abducted him at the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
We then see the Black Knight armor groan and moving. It gets up from a chair.
Yep.
And we pan down to see 2 dog legs at the bottom.
I wonder who that could be. I have no idea who that could be. I haven't the slightest idea who that could be.
The helmet is opened up and it's Scooby just playing a joke on them.
Well, of course, he always likes to play a joke on Shaggy, so what does he always does that.
You know, we get the Scooby-Dooby-Doo, and then we end the episode.
Yep, that's the end, guys. Of this episode, I
should
say.
And, you know, for a first-time showing, it is an episode.
It is an episode, you're right. It's a pretty good one at that, too.
No, it is. It's definitely, like, it definitely deserves its place as, like, the first episode. I don't think there are many of these early first season episodes that I think really fit the bill as to what makes Scooby as great as it does.
Right.
And this does do a very good job of hitting a lot of those notes.
Right.
I think, honestly, the only episode out of what I would call the original mysteries would be, you know, the second episode. I think could be a strong contender for, you know, a good pilot episode.
Yeah.
But that one also has a couple of flaws in it, in which, like, the main villain for that episode is really a person they don't meet at all in the episode.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of these other early episodes, it's like they either kind of really rely on a lot of these early established things, which is another weird thing, because it's like all of these episodes are kind of made in a way to assume, like, any episode could be somebody's first.
Yeah.
But some of them feel like, I don't want to say more established.
Could be.
But, because even this doesn't, like, fully explain a lot, you know, it doesn't go, like, we're not getting an explanation, like, why these guys are friends or anything, or why Scooby can talk or anything, like, honestly, like, we don't get any of that in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? In the Scooby-Doo show. Like, really, it's not until, I'd almost argue, Mystery Incorporated, which is a more serialized Scooby-Doo series. Because, like, a pup named Scooby-Doo is, like, literally just Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
When they're kids.
Yeah, in their younger years. But it's definitely, you know, it's a decent episode.
It is. I agree.
And I think from there we get to do some fun things now.
Ooh, some fun things. All right.
So, with every episode, we are going to do a personal ranking of these episodes, where we will give it a ranking out of 1 to 5, with 1 being bad episode, like avoid it if you really
Avoid
can.
it at all costs.
With a 5 being like, yeah, this is one of the best episodes of Scooby-Doo. Like, this is a definite must-watch of your life.
Yeah.
With the other numbers kind of falling into place as they would. We'll also be ranking all of the main villains of the series. So, any ghosts or things that kind of pop up as a addition to the main villain won't be on the ranking list.
Nope.
But like the main ones will. And that also may or may not change depending on the circumstances. Like, for example, I know we're a good number of weeks away from this one, but a gaggle of galloping ghosts.
Yep.
You know, how many ghosts are in that one?
There's 2. There's actually, no, there's a couple of them.
From my count, there's at least like 4 that could be potentially put on such a list like this.
Right.
Because you have the actual main culprit of the episode, but then we also see like a Frankenstein ghost, a werewolf, and a vampire. You know, 3 of those are featured more in the episode than the main culprit.
Right.
But it's like, you know, those 3 that we see more of, like, don't really do much of anything.
Right. Yep.
Or with the mystery mask mix-up, we have the main ghost, but his 2 zombie cohorts that we see more of.
Yep.
In which, like, I would feel okay putting the zombie cohorts on the list because they do
a lot more than the actual guy. Well, usually that is how it is, though. Usually the leader doesn't do as much.
Usually, but like how, you know, we know that with Decoy for a Dog Napper, there is just light show Indian ghosts that we see.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, something like that. It's like, it's a light show. It's not really doing much of anything except just to
scare you.
Yeah.
And it did a pretty good job.
You know, as we go on, we may have more lists that we'll add in. Like, eventually, when I know we start getting into a lot of either people Mystery Inc. knows personally because they are friends or because they're relatives.
Yep.
You know, we'll probably start making a list of, like, how these are all interconnected.
Yep.
So that will be fun and convoluted eventually.
Yep, when we get that.
Like, we'll have to probably, like, break that one up for sure by series.
Yeah, we probably will.
Probably when we actually start getting traps.
Yep.
Probably start ranking the traps.
Yes, we'll definitely be ranking the traps.
It feels so weird that there's no trap in this episode.
No, I know. It feels weird.
So, I think first we will start with the episode ranking. So, how many Scooby snacks for our table of snacks, which is what we are calling our personal rankings, would you give this episode?
I would give it a 5.
Okay, yeah,
I mean, I know it's a nostalgic episode, so it's kind of more, you know,
yeah,
reasoning. You know, I feel like with it being the first one, you know, it's probably one of the, you know, more iconic, you know, people.
Yeah,
you
know. It's definitely, see, the Black Knight Ghost, like, one, he's an iconic villain.
Yep.
You know, he's featured in the live-action Scooby-Doo 2.
Yep.
He's featured in, you know, bunch of different Scooby-Doo video games that I know of.
Right. Yep.
At least 2 off the top of my head that I can think of.
Right.
But I've also only played a couple.
Right, I've only played a couple, yeah.
Or seen stuff for a couple. I think, personally for me, because there's no trap, there's
Right.
no... Like, there's no... There are a lot of things I really very much associate to Scooby-Doo, like the chasing to music, the running through the doors.
Yeah, I know the hallway is the most iconic scene, but we don't get that till later
It's like,
on.
the sad thing is, like, a lot of that stuff does come later.
Yep.
Like, you know, I know the musical chasings don't happen until season 2 of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yeah.
That also might be when we start seeing the random door stuff.
Yep.
I could be wrong on that.
Could be.
We have a while to go.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Like, I mean, personally, like, I'd give this one a 4.
Yep.
But, yeah, not wanting to have it go up against stuff that won't come until later.
Right.
I guess, you know, I could give this one a 5. You know, it is an iconic episode. It is the first, so it shouldn't be held against stuff that comes later.
Yep.
And, you know, just because this one has a 5 doesn't mean that there aren't ones that'll be better.
Or worse.
You know, we have 25 episodes of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You to cover here.
Yep.
So I'm going to be very interested in seeing where everything goes from here.
Yep.
You know, how many are going to end up at 5s? How many are going to end up at 4s?
Or 3s, or 3.5.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm actually going to be very curious if we ever get to an episode that we would end up giving one Scooby snack.
True.
Just because it's like, yeah, how bad does the episode have to be to get
How bad
that?
is the episode?
And I know,
probably way down the road.
I know there are some people
like
who know a lot about Scooby-Doo who are thinking, yeah, just wait till you get to the Scrappy era.
Scrappy era.
Because I can see where some of that might be on the lower end. Not that I personally have anything against Scrappy.
Right.
But that is going to be a very weird time.
To get it, yeah.
But then, for our Manifest of Monsters.
Ooh, Manifest.
You know, it's the first episode.
It's the first episode.
Number one Black Knight Ghost.
Black Knight Ghost. Yep, no, nothing weird, nothing heard about that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, that was easy.
That was easy, yeah.
It's only going to get harder from here.
It's only going to go downhill from here.
You know, back in the day, Cartoon Network was doing a 25-hour Scooby-Doo marathon that they had intercut with bumpers that they had referred to as Those Meddling Kids, the behind the scenes of Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
In which those were just kind of like fun little behind the scenes look at like the different Scooby-Doo members.
Right.
It has no real bearing on anything with the show. It was just kind of something fun they were doing.
Right.
And during the actual episodes, they would intercut on the screen just kind of like random factoids here and there, in which one of them that they had put up during, I think it was Never Ape and Ape Man?
Could be.
I would have to look it up for sure. Either way, they had put up a factoid in which it was supposed that there's a approximation of about 6 Scooby snacks eaten per episode of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yep.
So we're going to test this theory out.
Yep.
So we are going to keep a track of how many Scooby snacks are eaten
During an episode.
Yep. Today, we got 2 Scooby snacks in today's episode,
Yep.
which brings our current total to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about it now, there's going to be a moment where they are probably downing a whole box.
That'll be later on.
Not quite sure how we are going to count that. If we'll just count it like
sure.
one box as question mark amount, or if we will try to find like some sort of real world equivalent box size and snack size of snacks to
figure that out.
Have a rough guess.
Yeah.
But that's a future problem.
Yep. That's a future problem.
So maybe you guys will have some sort of helpful thing for us.
Yep.
So I think that is pretty much about it for us this week.
I think so.
Nice solid episode.
It was.
Guys, if you have any questions, comments, ideas for a name for a trap list, ideas of how we can solve the future box of Scooby snack problem, you can always email us at ScoobyZonePodcast@gmail.com. Hopefully by the time you guys are hearing this, we will have a Facebook and Instagram and Twitter page.
Hopefully.
We will put the plugs in for those when we have them.
Yep.
But hopefully you guys will those will be up by the time you hear this.
Yep.
If they are, we will have links or at least the names for those in episode description and show notes.
Yep.
Wherever. So until then, we'll see you next time when we come to, the next episode, A Clue for Scooby-Doo.
Ooh, Clue for Scooby-Doo.
Personal favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Guys, just remember, don't stack your ladders on jacks and then jack them up. That's not very safe. And if you run a museum and you've got like old vehicles on display in there, make sure their fuel tanks are empty.
Yep. Make sure the fuel tanks are empty.
You don't want a Great Dane hijacking them or even just the carbon monoxide running.
Nope, definitely not.
And so, till next time, remember, they would have gotten away with it too
if it weren't for those meddling kids.